So quite a few things are on the list in this video. You're starting to see a bit of a reversal in the polls. One poll out of several mainstream polls are showing that Pierre Poilievre, the Conservatives, are kind of tied or pulling ahead of Mark Carney. Now, this is good news and it's bad news. The good news for this is, how is this not good news? This is phenomenal news. Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives are pulling ahead. And the bad news is, we've done this before. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just went through a massive 99% poll lead and that didn't play out. But I know this time's different, right? This time's different. I hope so, because we're actually starting to see a bit of a shift in the Conservatives, specifically Pierre Poilievre. Ever since the election, even his concession speech was mediocre, I suppose. And then he kind of went into hiding, ran his by-election, and now he's converting into what people are calling Pierre Poilievre 2.0, and it's better. It's better. It's not the best, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. So we're going to be taking a look at that. We're also going to be taking a look at the hidden truth of the fact that immigration is ruining Canada. Yeah, I know. Big surprise. Yeah, we all knew that. We all saw it coming. So there is quite a few other things to take a look in this video. But I'm going to leave that up for a surprise once you reach that point in the video, unless, of course, somebody puts timestamps for things down below. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I really want to encourage you guys to not only hit the like button or subscribe, but hit that little bell notification so you can actually be notified of upcoming videos. YouTube sometimes does this thing where they don't really send out all of the notifications that they should be, and then people just kind of get swept under the rug. So in order to avoid that, hit and tap that bell notification. And without further ado, let's get into this video. Starting off with this piece of news here from the Globe and Mail. As Canada lifts counter tariffs on American goods, what does it mean for consumers? Well, the federal government's decision to lift most retaliatory tariffs on American goods is expected to deliver some relief to customers or to consumers. Although experts watching the trade war say the Buy Canada movement may continue to limit demand for U.S. products. I personally think that that's going to be short-lived. That won't be forever, but that's my opinion. Prime Minister Carney announced on Friday that Ottawa will mirror U.S. tariffs by only imposing them on goods that are not compliant with the United States-Mexico trade agreement, which he said was designed to reset trade negotiations with Trump. The change will take effect on September 1st, so we're just days away from that really coming into effect. Counter tariffs on steel, aluminum, and auto sector will remain in place. The federal government has imposed counter tariffs on $60 billion worth of goods, excluding auto tariffs, in response to Mr. Trump launching a trade war against Canada. It has offered carve-outs since then. While the move was meant to push back on U.S. tariffs, businesses warned that consumers would be on the hook for higher costs. Loblaw even began labeling U.S. products affected by tariffs with a T to indicate to consumers which goods have been affected by the countermeasures, which is very interesting. And I mean, you've seen a rise in Made in Canada. This is Canadian product stickers across the shelves in this country. And for me personally, I don't really let that affect the decision on whether or not I'm going to buy something. It's usually based off of, do I need that thing? Am I looking for this product? And the actual price. And if it's a little bit more to be a little bit more expensive for it to be Canadian, I'm not going with that option. I'm going with what actually makes sense for our financial goals, and I'm just not participating in any boycotts against America. But let me know down in the comments if you guys are. There are some conservatives out there, believe it or not, who are actually boycotting against American goods, and that's your right, I suppose. I don't agree with it, but that is a decision that you are allowed to make. Then let's take a look here at this report. Where is the clear economic direction that Mark Carney promised? So even the mainstream media is starting to shift a little bit, right, on the rhetoric towards Mark Carney. Behind the good news that credit delinquencies for some Canadians are stabilizing is sobering reports that the financial prospects of some young Canadians are perilous. Last week, Equifax released its quarterly consumer credit trends and insights reports. It tells a tale of two Canadas. One is an older Canada where home ownership, standards of living that equaled or exceeded that of their parents, and ample work experience offer a fighting chance to hold on to the lives they have built. The other is a younger Canada compromising 18 to 35-year-olds whose efforts to launch successfully are being hindered by persistent costs of living and crisis and high unemployment. What both Canada needs is clear economic direction. Since January, when former Prime Minister Trudeau said he would resign, Canada has been in an economic holding pattern. We have a new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, but we don't yet have a budget laying out the economic game plan to thrive in a world where trading relationships are in turmoil. We have talk of national projects at Mr. Carney, but nothing concrete. Trade negotiations with the United States have gone from a black to gray box, given Friday's news conference that Prime Minister has announced an elbows down, sleeves up approach to negotiations. Meanwhile, the EU appears to be successfully finding common ground with the Americans on trade. Standing still is taking a financial toll on Canadians, especially young adults who can ill afford more hits to their personal budgets. Now, I know a lot of people out there are not like super big fans of Trump. I am. I like Trump. I like the direction that America is going in, but there is a lot of people out there that aren't really big fans. I think even the Conservative Party isn't really that big of a fan of President Trump. Love him or hate him, you have to acknowledge the fact that he's pulling massive business deals with other countries in a way that the world has never seen before. $600 billion here, $750 billion there. Like, it's just insane how much money other countries, other world leaders want to pour into America in order to secure the bag with the United States under President Trump. And Canada's approach has been not really anything. We haven't been that great at trade negotiations with America. And it's crazy because our guy is a banker who's supposed to be good with money and understanding of economics. And we're finding out that maybe he lied on his resume. Like, we know he was a banker, worked for the Bank of Canada, for crying out loud. He's literally on our money, but wow, he's not good at these deals at all. What I would like to see are these multi-billion dollars, dozens of hundreds of billions of dollars of like nuclear energy with America and just better overall trade. And we're not even close to seeing that. So I want to pass the question off to you. Aside from the whole like F Trudeau, F Carney rhetoric, how do you feel about the future of trade between Carney and Trump? Are you optimistic? Are you pessimistic? Let me know where you guys stand on that. And now we got to take a look at immigration, because it's kind of getting a little bit out of control. There's a video that surfaced here on X that shows a man who is defecating on his chair, on himself, in a Starbucks location. Now, this is rumored to be potentially AI. There's no confirmed reports. Starbucks has never released a video. This was never on mainstream media. And the title of this is an Indian immigrant in Canada is visibly shocked at Starbucks employees telling him to leave as he was actively defecating inside their store. I can't play the audio because it is like a copyrighted, song or something of the sorts. But I want to just show you this other one that is very much proven to be real, where you have, it looks like foreigners, right? Newcomers, potentially even. I think that's actually the caption. Fed up Canadians start fighting newcomers who are robbing an LCBO liquor store in Ontario. Off, he has a knife. Oh my goodness. I mean, that's just crazy. And of course, crime in Canada is not just about newcomers. Like, Canadian born citizens, yes, of course, commit crime. But the point when it comes to crime and surrounding the topic of newcomers or temporary foreign workers, whatever it is that like the law has been more lenient on people that are visiting here or temporarily here or brand new to this country, whereas the law is harsher on Canadian-born citizens. Now, this is extremely controversial because that doesn't make any sense at all. I literally can't understand that. There is no other place in the world. Like, you can't go to Italy and commit a crime and expect a lesser sentence than Italians because, hey, what's the matter? I'm from Canada. I'm visiting. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Canada's rules and laws and even our judicial system actually has been very much favoring newcomers for the reasons of we don't want to accidentally trigger their deportation status. So oftentimes, if there is jail involved, it's 2 year less a day, because anything over 2 years or something of the sorts is an automatic trigger for deportation. And well, we just don't do that in Canada. So I want to pass a question off to you. How do you feel about this? Should Canada start to revisit a lot of these laws and take a very good in-depth look at our judicial system and reprioritize who the heck we are giving harsh punishments to? Because it should be to new people. That's my opinion, but I'd love to know yours. And now we got to take a look at some good news-ish, sort of, potentially, here in Canada. We've got the polling update. So we're going to take a look at, first of all, a poll that has not shifted into the favor that you think it would. So this is 338 polling used by pretty much every single creator and stuff like that. And it's just showing two places as fully blue, Alberta and Saskatchewan. And as you can see here, the Liberals have 182 projected seats and the Conservatives have 127 projected seats. Now, at the top right of the screen, you'll see a couple other options. You'll see Liaison poll, which shows Liberals at 44% and Conservatives at 35%. You'll see Nanos at 45% and the Conservatives at 32%. You'll see another Nanos poll at 44% and 32%. And then you see Abacus, which actually shows the opposite. Shows the Liberals at 39% and the Conservatives at 41%. And this is kind of the polling that we're talking about, is the federal vote intention, where the Liberals are neck to neck 31% or 41%, with the Conservatives at 41%. And it even breaks down committed vote intention by region and province. So it's actually just flipped blue in British Columbia, according to Abacus, with 43% to the Liberals 42%. And in Alberta, it's still a very strong 62% to the Liberals 26%. Saskatchewan and Manitoba, you got that at 52% blue and 35% Liberal. And it's Ontario that is really starting to make that big difference, with 44% Conservative, but still a 46% Liberal. Now, you'd think that cheering on being in a deficit in Ontario by only 2 points is kind of weird, right? Like, why would you be cheering for being in a deficit in Ontario? But Ontario has been historically quite liberal, which is weird because provincially it's Conservative. Now, if Doug Ford got his head out of his ass and was like, hey, I'm a progressive conservative leader in Ontario, and I endorse Pierre Poilievre, and I think that we should keep things in-house, keep things conservative, keep things blue, then you would probably see that number skyrocket quite a bit. But we're not there yet, but we are making progress. So I want to pass a question off to you. How do you feel about these polls? Are you thinking that the Conservatives are doing good, or you think the Liberals still have a massive lead? Where do you lie? Because there's a lot of conflicting data out there. And of course, people are going to naturally go towards what gives them that confirmation bias. I'm guilty of it too. But in terms of Pierre Poilievre going up in the polls, there is some data to confirm that he's actually resonating, with a little bit more of a harder stance, because that's what he's been taking over the past week. This post here shows Pierre Poilievre being a little bit outspoken about asylum claims. Breaking new data shows the Carney Liberals' record on asylum claimants, with 291,971 claimants in the queue, a more than 2,800% increase from 2015 to 2025. So in 2015, you had just under 10,000 asylum claims. Fast forward 10 years, it's gone from 10,000 to almost 300,000. 100,000. This is insane. Asylum claims. And that we know can be under the guise of 2S LGBTQLI plus. So you could have some, terrorist personnel showing up as an asylum claim going, I am gay. I am 2S LGBTQ gay. I need to be in Canada. And Canada goes, here's your money, here's this, and here's that. Go see that person, and they'll get you set up. And that's like a pretty big problem. Canadians have been talking about this for quite some time. And all we've really wanted from our party leaders in our respective parties is to really highlight some of these flaws. And even though it was brought up, it was just never like, hey, this is a huge problem and we need to actually do something about it. And we're going to scream from the rooftops. But now you're seeing that shift in Pierre Poilievre. And I think that this is really good. This is something that I've personally wanted. I've been a recent increasingly larger critic of Pierre Poilievre with good intentions, because I see the shift that the Conservative Party has been taking of becoming a little bit more liberal-esque, and I think that that's bad. And so I've been putting on a little bit of commentary, flavorful commentary, colorful commentary, I guess. Not flavorful. That was weird. I'm never going to say that again. Colorful commentary on their approach. And it seems like through some social pressure, the Conservatives are starting to make that shift. So let me know where you guys stand. If you like that, if you don't like that, and your reasoning down below. And it's not just Pierre Poilievre doing like better things. It's also Mark Carney doing worse things. You can always count on the Liberals to mess things up. As per this, this speech that Mark Carney gave, where he says, hey, we always, always, always stand with Ukraine.
Mr. President, dear friends, my message today is simple. Canada will always stand in solidarity with Ukraine. Canada, under my predecessor, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, has become the largest per capita contributor of financial aid to Ukraine. Today, I come here with the honor of leading Canada's new government. And I commit that Canada will remain by Ukraine's side in your fight for independence, sovereignty, and freedom. That's why when you, Mr. President, joined the G7 summit this past June in Canada, we joined others in enacting new sanctions against thousands of Russian entities and hundreds of Russia's foreign enablers of this brutal war. While we weaken Russia, we work to strengthen Ukraine. At that same G7, Canada pledged an additional $2 billion in military assistance. And today I'm proud to announce that over $1 billion of that support will be used to strengthen your arsenal with urgently needed drones, ammunition, armored vehicles, material that will arrive next month. We'll also fund the joint production of defense material, including advanced drones from Canadian suppliers.
Yeah, see, people hear that and they go, we didn't vote for that. Whomever actually voted for Mark Carney didn't vote for war. They voted for affordable housing. They voted for more, handouts, more local fixings, right? In a different way, albeit, than what the Conservatives. But never once did Mark Carney say, we're going to give more to Ukraine. And that's what we're getting. So even people that voted for Mark Carney are getting that buyer's remorse, especially when Mark Carney is saying, hey, you know what? We're going to start pumping a bunch of money into our military.
We're together working side by side in Ukraine, together side by side in NATO. And if I may say, we learned much from the Prime Minister, from his government, including the importance of pulling our full weight in NATO. And it will take us a few years to reach Polish levels of commitment. It's possible. But it's possible. And we have made that commitment. We will quadruple our spending on defense between now and the end of the decade.
You see, Justin Trudeau promised the same thing, and a lot of Liberals liked it. Some people didn't, and I just kind of want to pass the question off to you. Do you think that we'll actually ever get to that point where we will be literally putting that much money into our military? Personally, I don't, and I think that it's now a race between whether you're going to see Canadian soldiers fight on the front lines against Russia, or if we're actually ever going to, put that much amount of money into our military. Now, why did I mention fighting against Russia? Because that's what our prime minister said, that Canada is about to do.
We're working through with our allies in the Coalition of the Willing and with Ukraine the modalities of those security guarantees on the land, in the air, and the sea, and I would not exclude the presence of troops.
So even liberals that voted for this guy are saying, whoa, we don't want to go to war. Like, that's not what we signed up to do, because at the end of the day, if Canada actually goes to war against Russia, there's going to be a conscription. And if that happens, I volunteer the liberals to go, anyone who's registered, card holding liberal supporter, anyone who voted for the liberals, to go and to fight that war, because that's not what the conservatives want to do. That's not what your everyday person in Canada wants. But for some reason, that's something that our liberal government is still pushing to get done. Trudeau was super anti-Russia and super pro-Ukraine. And it seems like Mark Carney is filling those shoes just like it's home. So it's very, very bizarre. And I do want to pass a question off to you. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about even the fact that some liberals are now going, no, I don't want that. That's not what I voted for, because they're already getting buyer's remorse.